my office. An example is an allegation that I failed to retire accountable interest of $14,000 when I traveled. When I did retire that accountable interest 2 days after I returned from my journey, I was given $14,000. I could only spend $4,400, and I returned $9,600 2 days after I returned from my journey. And that's why I knew that it was necessary that the issues being thrown around as petitions against me needed to get into the public space. I swore to a supplementary affidavit alerting the Supreme Court also of human rights violations that I had started encountering when I went to the Article 146 hearings. However, the members of the Supreme Court that heard the application refused my application for the hearing in open, and they also struck out the supplementary affidavit at the request of the Attorney General. I have decided to make this statement today because the violations have not stopped. Indeed, they have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined as possible in justice delivery. These violations include the committee's refusal, in breach of the rules of natural justice, to recognize my lawyer on the first day of proceedings, simply because I was not personally present with him. And they went ahead to make arrangements for the hearing without involving my lawyer while he was sitting in front of them. The committee has also failed to indicate the specific charges that I'm supposed to be defending myself against in order to allow me to adequately prepare a defense of the charges. The committee has gone on to permit two of the petitioners, Mr. Daniel Ofori and Shining Stars, not to testify at all or present what case they brought to them at the hearing. The committee has refused to allow me to go into the hearing with any family member. Before you enter, there's a thorough search of my body and my handbag in violation of protocols and courtesies extended to any Chief Justice, which protocols and courtesies are honored in the name of the nation, both in Ghana and outside of Ghana. And then the work of the committee is being conducted in a cordoned high security zone on Castle Drive, Posum, when all Article 146 proceedings since 1993 have been held in facilities of the Judicial Service. It is hard not to reach the conclusion that the choice of venue against the backdrop of secrecy of proceedings is intended to intimidate me and to prevent any citizen of Ghana from knowing how the proceedings are being conducted. The Edu Lodge facility that the hearings are being conducted in featured very prominently in the planning of the murder of judges on June 30th, 1981. And this can be read about in the special investigative report on that terrible event in our nation's history. It will be recalled that there was a Major Samapa, a military officer who was killed with the 3 High Court justices, who was the Director of Human Resource of GHOP. He was my uncle and my guardian when I entered the University of Ghana in September 1980. I was also living with him at the time he was abducted and murdered. Was Edu Lodge chosen for my inquiry to make me feel insecure? I think so. And I continue to hold the view that there's no reason why a judicial hearing is being conducted behind the high walls of Edu Lodge. At this Article 146 hearing, No rules provided by law to regulate the fairness of hearings and trials in this country are being followed. As we all know, when a citizen is summoned before a court or any administrative or disciplinary committee, it is the duty of the committee or court to give the citizen a copy of the complaint that they are presiding over. You cannot be summoned without a writ, a petition, or a complaint. It is also the duty of that committee or court or tribunal to give copies of all documents that have been filed with them before the hearing is started.
How does anyone defend themselves without a copy of the complaint that they have been summoned to come and answer to? This Article 146 committee has refused to give me copies of the petitions that His Excellency the President gave to them. They refused to give me copies, a copy of the prima facie determination that His Excellency the President is supposed to have given to them. They claim that they know that the President sent me copies on 27th March of the petition on 27th March 2025. And so they do not need to show me what the President gave to them. They also claim to have copies of the responses that I gave to the President, but they will not provide the petitioners with copies of my responses. The difficulty with this is, because they are the independent body charged with the duty to conduct the hearing, what I have in my hand from the President could be different from what they have. And I cannot assume that the two copies are the same. Indeed, no tribunal does that. No tribunal will tell you that before you came here, we know that your landlord wrote to you, so we are looking into what your landlord wrote to you about, and so that is what we will be inquiring into. They will give you what the charges are that they are supposed to be inquiring into. Second, the petition itself has not been admitted into evidence and subjected to cross-examination by me or my lawyers. In this case, because they have permitted the petitioner who has so far given evidence of whose petition we are supposed to be dealing with, Mr. Daniel Ofori, they have permitted 68-year history as an independent republic. There has never been a hearing for the removal of the Chief Justice. One would therefore have hoped that if such a process becomes necessary, it would provide good guidance and precedent for nation building. Unfortunately, every step of the removal process being undertaken against me is being done in a manner that breaks every rule on how justice is delivered in our country. And this is why I find the need to draw the nation's attention to the serious violations of the Constitution and law in the process, and the danger it holds for the development of the nation's democracy. The second reason for making this statement is, though I'm in the process alone, its effects ripple far beyond me as a person. This process will affect how all Superior Court justices and future Chief Justices may be removed from office. It also affects commissioners and heads of independent constitutional bodies set up to protect the freedom and justice of Ghanaian citizens as guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. In building Ghana's democracy in the Fourth Republic, the framers of the Constitution identified public officials who must directly serve the citizens of Ghana without being afraid of unjustified punishments or reprisals from influential people or members of the executive or legislature. The framers of the Constitution identified that it is only when these public officials we can work without fear, control, or at the pleasure of influential people that freedom and justice will reign in Ghana. The law did not provide for the termination of their appointments by any authority. The Constitution set up grounds and processes for removing them from office under Article 146. And these grounds must reach the standard of, quote, inability to perform the functions of their office. The officials include, apart from Superior Court justices, commissioners of Traj, commissioners of NCCE, commissioners of EC, Electoral Commission, the Auditor General, and the Chairman and the Vice Chairman and members of the Public Service Commission.
In the last few minutes, many of you in the media have reached out to me seeking to inquire about what government makes of the press engagement that Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, just had, which bordered on the petitions brought against her and the deliberations of the committee tasked to look into the matter. Ordinarily, if the matters were left to the content of the petition and the processes being undertaken by the committee, we will not have cause to comment, because those are matters beyond the purview of the president or the government. But a number of things were said at the media engagement that, if left uncorrected, could create an erroneous impression and project government in a very unfair, unjust, unwarranted light. To begin with, we respect the right of Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, to express any view that she holds about the matter in question, to the extent that it is consistent with the rules, because the Constitution makes it clear what the processes are in determining a matter of the sort that we are engaged with. The Constitution requires confidentiality on the part of all parties. It is the reason why the presidency, on behalf of His Excellency the President, has refrained from commentary on the matter beyond stating what the President has done in compliance with the Constitution. So it would have been desirable that that constitutional provision was respected by Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, so that we do not have to engage in public commentary up until the time that the committee looking into the matter makes their determination. We are compelled, however, to correct certain misimpressions that were created at the briefing. To begin with, let me point out that as yet, nobody has been able to ascribe any known verifiable constitutional breach to the President in the way that he has handled this particular matter. From the very first steps in this matter, the President has kept fidelity to the Constitution and has respected the spirit and letter of the Constitution. Everything he has done has been by the book.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and the political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
Government is broke, government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
All right, a very good morning to you, and you're welcome to the program. It's Good Morning Ghana, and as I always say, by the directive principles of state policy, we have the opportunity to discuss what the state is going through, the health of the country, Ghana. Today is the 30th of June, 2025, and we thank God for giving us this day again to be here. As usual, we'll go through the headlines of the papers, and then we get into the matters with the guests. I start off with the daily graphic, and it says that government won't interfere in public varsities. Vice President review BEC to reflect new curriculum. Educationists demand, but WAEC demands relevance. Tax experts points out 7 baits for corruption, calls for intensified fight against grafts. Expand informal sectors pension coverage. Minister charges NPRA board. Ghanaian Times. Government tackles Galamsey head on. Lands Minister unveils secretariats to coordinate efforts at cracking down on illegal mining. Go and make Ghana proud. Sports Minister charges Black Queens ahead of WAFCON. Government allocates 50 million Ghana cedis to National Research Fund, VEEP. Small-scale miners call on President to probe illegal task force. Ghana-India trade crosses $1 billion mark, $1 billion US dollar mark. Daily Guide. Africa needs its own rating. Nana, lead fight against Galamsey. Educhum to academia. Call small-scale miners, cry to Mahama over illegal task force. Jumfo poised for victory. Woman arrested over 3,900 slaps of narcotics. The Insight newspaper, tension in Takwa, Part 1, over unpaid benefits to 750 mine workers by BCM and Goldfields. Isaac Ofori blasts suspended Chief Justice Araba Tokonu for peddling falsehood over petition seeking her removal. Ekumfiamia, SHS students suffering. 4 share single mono desk. Israel's brutalities in Gaza. India's shameful foreign policy shifts at time of genocide. The Herald. Rogue task force undermines Mahama's anti-Galamsey efforts as parallel squad disrupts official operations. Small-scale miners alarmed. Petitioner vows to correct Chief Justice's plain falsehood. Accuses her of breaching confidentiality rules. NPP youth organizer cries over 60 million Ghana cedis bail conditions for ex-Buffer Stock Company CEO and wife. NDC regional chairman NDC regional chairman falls victim to multi-million-dollar fraud. Profile of businessman Daniel Ofori. That's also here. And then the Inquisitor. Fight against Galamsey. Saboteurs frustrate Kofi Boa. Illegal tax force derail gains. Greater Accra NDC chases Ashimore over issues with Singaporean. GJ elections today, June 4, to be retained. Zoomlion deploys 200 new trucks nationwide to deal with waste. Metrolens. Bribes won't get you in. Bribes won't get you in. Defense Minister cautions potential military recruitment applicants. Buyers Global Credit. Africa needs its own rating system. Akufo-Addo. We have Zoomlion big move, 200 new trucks to improve waste collection nationwide. Police arrest 17 anti-Galamsey raids in Western region. 50 million Ghana cedis Alhaji Wahab bail. Minority questions Yoko's motives. The Informer. Exams malpractices. Minister warns teachers, students. Minister warns teachers, students. Zoomlion rolls out 200 waste trucks to boost sanitation nationwide. SML GRA $500 million scandal. OSP urged to fast-track pace. NACOC dismantles drug cartels. Channel 1 TV's 2025 Agri-Fair ends with high turnout, strong sales. And then we also have the Daily Searchlight. Akufo-Addo pushes for 30% sovereign reserves in Africa banks. KNUST law students honor Coca. Galamsey fights in chaos as illegal task force undermines government efforts. 200 new Zoomlion trucks to strengthen waste management. The Ghanaian publisher. Government Galamsey fight hit by rogue task force. Zoomlion expands fleet to tackle waste. June 4 set for landslide victory. Akufo-Addo renews calls for African Credit Agency. The top right corner says minority seeks clarity on COVID surge. The custodian. I gave $1.5 million for NDC campaign, Singaporean. Miners call on government to stop illegal tax force. Coca honored for funding young minds. Record sales mark final day of high turnout Agri-Fair 2025. Zoomlion deploys 200 new trucks for waste management. Africa needs its own rating system. Akufo-Addo decries global credit buyers. Daily Post. Energy Minister launches EV solar charging station. That's electronic vehicle. GEA celebrates International MSME Day. Illegal tax force clashes with government national anti-Galamsey tax force. Ablakwa assures calm amid U.S. deportation concerns. The Daily Searchlight. Okay, let me do the Daily Searchlight. It says that June 4 path to second term clear. Minority demands briefing on COVID-19 outbreak at Legon campus. There's some minor ones. It says that disregard fake voters register in circulation. GJA election committee to members. Give Baumia another chance. NPP senior member advises. Showboy Foundation donates to bags of 2 bags. Okay. Donates 10 bags of fertilizer to Himang SHS. The Informer. Okay, I've picked the Informer already. So let's pick the Business and Financial Times. BOG to roll out digital finance rules that support SMEs. Amend anti-corruption laws to close loopholes, government urged. In banking, Public Bank delivers strong 2024 performance, sets bold vision for growth and inclusion. Banks face DFI disruptions unless they adopt blockchain. Sammy Crab. And then we have towards a fully operational 24/7 port system, infrastructure coordination and policy imperatives. But trawler violates trigger artisanal fishing zone expansion. Okay, that's also here on the feature on Business and Financial Times. Economy Times says that global price of cocoa jumps as Ghana cuts production forecast. Electricity tariffs hikes. CSOs, businesses clash over impact on consumers. Beyond banking, ADB celebrates 60 years in Ghana with new tagline. Well, that's it for the headlines this morning. We'll take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to Amame Manfo, Kale Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is several buying, a man is swing, Nesansu Mama Hoto so a will beg you.
Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Choose Kale Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kale. Happy smile.
Whoop iPhone papa. You were home.
So open iPhones accessories papa dia. Mention baby ya.
Ba EBA phones and accessories.
Sebani EBA, yet on iPhones any home accessories. iPhone 50 XL cost 16 Pro Max. Accessories ye wa charger, AirPods, any iPhone home akadia nyina. Yanuma ye ni sikapudu e de beto iPhone. Say ya nkwankre, boja, and na say abanye juma your phone nyina. For 40% beji iPhone biya ope. Na ni aka no, wo de bosome miensa. Etua ne nkakra. E kwan ya obefa so de achi enyi. Dial *713*5571#. Oba, sheno so say wo de wo Ghana card. Eni nia e chere say wo ye adwuma. hwehwɛ yɛkyerɛ kwan ɛwɔ Circle Mall ɛne Tiptoe Lane yɛne modern photos ɛnkyɛn hɔ a afei nso sɛ woba American Mall a yɛne Odo Rice ɛna edi nhwɛni Kumasi nso yɛwɔ Edum Central Prisons Runabout Ajekum Abunsan ni mu frɛ yɛn ɛwɔ numbers na ebu screen ni so no EBA phones no hassle cry.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Missy Yanfan come and me burua.
Mami Bobro. Sonia Telebeko. Bra, Mummy and Fanny called Dr. Ban.
Dr. Ban oya de.
Bra, Saban no pemu adwuma Sasabro slow. Dr. Ban oye.
Sorry, kemi kwana meka. Oh, no pemu nimdi ono na ye expect nya zanfo no. O akra any Kumasi no pemu expect yen kan kyerɛ.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Are you a headmaster, headmistress, parent, teacher, or an educator looking for high-quality textbooks for preschool, primary, and junior high school students? Look no further than Advocate Publishing Company. Advocate Publishing Company is a leading publisher of educational materials in Ghana that publishes very engaging, interactive, and comprehensive textbooks that meet the needs of students, teachers, and parents. Our textbooks are thoroughly published to make learning fun and easy. They are also designed to stimulate critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity in students. Make Advocate Publishing your preferred choice for all your educational needs. Explore our range of textbooks and educational resources. Visit us at the old GNTC yard near Kingsway, Accra. You can contact us on 0503 786 776 or 02408 06354, also 0531 600360, and connect with us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Advo Publishing. Don't settle for less. Choose the best. Advocate Publishing Company, empowering young minds one textbook at a time. Thinking publishing, think Advocate Publishing.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Friend Kalika, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Friend me once now.
Hey, that's you.
Impruka.
Yeah. Captain, mosquito, double the
Sasso Quell.
Yeah, go to my Sasasenia.
Sasso, come tom preco.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfukuro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakpleku, which is a 15 minutes drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
I'm here at Authority-GPHA Limited to show you the Promethean Active Panel, the ultimate tool for corporate institutions, hospitals, schools, and your home. With its crystal clear 4K display and an unbreakable screen with an ultra responsive touch technology. This isn't just a screen, it's a game changer. For corporate institutions and in schools, this active panel can be used for Zoom meetings and PowerPoint presentation. And oh, your homes are not left behind. You can use it to watch all your favorite programs by just connecting to a Fire Stick, and you can get access to channels like Netflix and Amazon, and voila, you are in there. At Authority-GPHA Limited, we provide you with the best quality products from the United States of America with 1-year warranty. You can get an
A home is more than just walls and a roof. It's the warmth of family, the assurance of security, and the joy of shared moments. Whether you're returning from abroad or seeking a new beginning, Rehoboth Havens Ayumensa is where your journey truly begins. Nestled beneath the tranquil Ebri Mountains, this gated community offers the perfect blend of modern living and natural beauty. Our 2, 3 and 4 bedroom homes are designed for family living with spacious interiors, elegant finishes, and all the comforts that make life better. From cozy living rooms for bonding to modern kitchens for culinary creativity and private gardens for peaceful reflection, every space is thoughtfully crafted. At Rehoboth Havens, your children play safely, your family grows joyfully, and your memories are built on a foundation of care and community. Starting from 675,000 Ghana cedis with flexible installment plans, your dream home is within reach because everyone deserves a place to truly call home. Rehoboth Havens, where futures are built and dreams come to life. Call us on 0553 751933 or 0206 823524 to secure your future today. Rehoboth Social Housing, your housing dream becomes reality.
No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Ghana. I have my guests with me. They haven't been with me for a while. Lara Tumosa Saka is a member of the NPP, and she's here. Interestingly, both of them, I don't know how this telepathic, feeling came from, but both of them are in white, maybe for different reasons. So, Lara, you're welcome, first of all. Good morning.
Thank you,
to you.
Annie. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you too?
I'm fine. I'm fine, by
It's been
grace.
a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Where have you been?
Been around.
Hey, that was that too. Every day I've been around, but she's not around. Actually, every day I've been around. One day I will expose you. But Beatrice.
But I've been around. I've seen people campaigning for asking questions about your appointment. So maybe you can enlighten me. It looks like all your colleagues are getting one appointment or the other.
So because my colleagues are getting an appointment, I should also get an appointment.
Well, I mean, maybe you can tell us.
I can tell you?
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't.
I am sitting my somewhere. You people are the ones talking. So
okay.
You tell me more.
Okay. Maybe Beatrice can explain.
Beatrice can explain what?
Good morning to her.
Okay, her government is in power.
She's sitting at the office of the appointing authority.
The appointor.
Appointor.
Good morning to you, Lawyer Beatrice Annan. You're welcome.
Good morning, Annie.
How are you? You've
I'm
also
good.
been missing.
No, I've been around. You know.
Hey, you've also been around.
Yes. It means you don't check up on us. Yeah, but I want to say a very.
You know, this my work is very difficult, eh?
So that's why you don't check up on your friends.
She only remembers you exist when you are coming on a show.
Hey, I plead the fifth.
But I want to say a very big good morning to the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. For about a month now, I've been going to Action Chapel every Sunday, and he does something very interesting. For every Sunday, we pray for our leaders, we pray for the nation, and I want to say thank you to him. Also because tomorrow is the National Day of Thanksgiving and Prayer, and I want to...
Then you have to say good morning to my pastor too.
Who is your pastor?
Anthony Kujo.
Okay, so
Reverend Anthony Kujo.
Good morning to him as well. But
he also prays for leaders every morning.
So I want to say that tomorrow, every Christian and every Muslim and everybody who loves Ghana should join in celebrating how far we've come or where we have come from. You know, for the past 8 years, it's been a very difficult one. And if you have a new leadership that is committed to changing the narrative and changing the story and saying that we want to build the Ghana we all want together, I think that we should all put our differences aside, our political colors, and everything aside and come together for once and pray for our nation and also show some form of appreciation. So I urge all men of God, women of God, Christians, those who pray, and those who believe in prayers, whether Christians or Muslims, to join in celebrating.
So there are some 2 flyers I've seen of the prayers. There's that for the Muslim service, and there's that for the Christian service as well. Okay, so the Muslim one has. Okay, I hope my team will give us the something on the screen. I've sent it to you. It says Muslim service 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday, 1st of July 2025 at Ghana National Mosque, Kanda, Accra. Then the second one has Christian service 8 a.m. on Tuesday, 1st July 2025, forecourt of State House, Accra. So they will happen on the same day.
Yes, because
different times.
Yes. And I would want to add that even if you were a traditionalist and you pour libation, say a prayer for Ghana. You know, the interesting thing is that when I was young, my grandmother used to pour libation a lot, so I memorized how the libations were poured. So, yeah, there's a way they do it. I memorized.
She was a traditionalist. Or she just poured?
And yes, she used to go to church a lot. I think she believed that you reach God through different means. So I also want to, for me, it's a very beautiful scene when they are pouring the libation, especially in Ghana, for me. And so I want to invite Nime and Name so that when they pour the libation, they also remember the nation. But in all, I think that even if for nothing at all, the few months that President Mahama has been in office, we are all seeing very positive signs. It is our prayer, again, tomorrow when we pray, that the Lord will look favorably on us. Allah would let His mercy be on this nation so that together we can build our nation. I think what many people want are, one, the basic necessities of life, peace, and just an opportunity to be who they are in their nation. I don't think that is too much to ask for. And so we can do that. Prayer in itself does not translate into development. It has a role it plays in the life of the nation. Sometimes when people question what prayer can do, I say that even almighty America, if you look at their currency, the dollar, they have in God we trust in it. So it tells you that prayer has a role, and Thanksgiving also has a role to play. So tomorrow, let's all join. It's not a holiday. The holiday is on Friday, but let's all join to make the day a very successful one. Anywhere you are, in your room, on your way to the office, in the office, you can just say a 1-minute prayer for President Mahama in the nation. And I believe that we would have been inviting God into our affairs, if you ask me.
Had we stopped doing national prayers and Thanksgiving?
I don't remember the last time. Maybe I can be corrected, but I don't remember.
It just clicked. I
don't remember the last time we did some. I don't have any earliest recollection to that, but whatever it is, we want to start somewhere, and tomorrow I think we should all join.
Wow.
Whether you believe in prayers or not, I think we should all join for the love of the nation.
Laratu, are you willing to be a part of it? It's supposed to be national. Okay, so it's on your screen. So this is for the Christian flyer. If you see this one represents the Christian flyer. You see the, and then this is for the Muslims. That starts at 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday, 1st of July, 2025, at the Ghana National Mosque, Kanda. The Ghana National Mosque on Kanda Road is the one that was built, is it by the Turkish? Laratu?
Mm-hmm.
The mosque
It was started by the Muslim community here
in Ghana.
Yeah, but for a couple of years it was difficult. So the Turkish, I think, a group, a group approached a number of people. I think the Turkish government came in to help out. And so if you've seen the Blue Mosque in Turkey before, it has a semblance of it.
Are you willing to be a part of this? Supposed to be a national Thanksgiving prayer and Thanksgiving service.
I'm a practicing Muslim. I pray 5 times a day, every day, unless during certain circumstances by virtue of being a woman. So I don't see what is wrong with having praying. But maybe if the thinking behind this particular day, it's given, then it will make much more sense and understanding what's informed it, because we are quite a religious country. Everything we do, be it our meetings, be it our gatherings, we start with a prayer, end with a prayer. And we do this all the time. And I also was wondering how we are reconciling who is attending. It's national, yes, everybody has to, but it's not a holiday. So how is it being managed? Will work still be going on? And we still have the holiday on Friday? Or, I don't know, how is it going to work? We run a shift system where Christians go in the morning, come back to work, and Muslims go in the afternoon. Because from what you showed, one is the Christian prayer is at 9 a.m. and the Islamic one is at 12:30. So if more details can be given with regards to that, vis-a-vis having the holiday on Friday, which is actually a day for Juma anyway. We'll still go for Juma, you know. So maybe if more details are given into who and who are supposed to do and how the day must be. Does it involve school
who and
children?
who are supposed to do what? Come
Be
or have been
attending,
invited?
exactly, be attending.
Is a national...
That's what I'm saying. Is there going to be some form of a congregation, or we all just have to do it in our little corners like we do every day? Because it's not a holiday.
Beatrice, are you able to throw light on that? Maybe she needs some more clarity on the form of organization.
No, I don't think it involves school children. I think that it's just like any Thanksgiving service. And so those who are available would make it. Some people work on their own. For instance, I work, but this morning I'm here. And so people can make their own private arrangement. The idea is not to put productivity on hold to pray. The idea is that it's a commemorative day. And so if for some reason, by reason of work or something, you can't be there, you can join virtually. You can say a prayer, in your home, your room, in your office. But the idea is that those who can make it are encouraged to
There's
make
a center for congregation.
So,
yes.
In the spirit of moving a holiday within the week to Friday, wouldn't it have been also prudent to put the Islamic prayer on Friday, which
that's not a bad
the
idea.
Normal day
That's
for
not
Juma,
a bad idea.
but that particular day will be observed as a national prayer day, and the Sunday, like we do for the cleanup exercises and all those things. So if you're trying to save work hours and all that, and we still have to have this on Tuesday when the holiday has been moved to Friday to save work hours or productivity hours. I think it would have been prudent to actually probably designate a Friday, maybe the Friday after 1st July, or if it falls on Friday, it's okay.
Friday
Or the
is a
Sunday
holiday
after
for...
1st July. So what I'm
Friday's
saying is that for us Muslims, we go for Juma, congregational prayers on Fridays. For you Christians, you congregate on Sunday. The other sections of Christians who also congregate on Saturdays, right? But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think would have been more prudent. That's why probably more information has to be given on why it has to be the 1st July,
but when
the holiday has been moved to Friday.
Because you probably, as a government, want to make impact as well. You don't want to mix it with the regular celebrations and the regular activities of the various religions.
That's the explanation.
No, that is what I'm thinking.
Loratta's feedback is noted, but the idea about shifting the holidays to Friday, if they happen to fall on a midweek or even beginning of week, goes beyond just 1st July. And so the principle is that when you have a holiday Wednesday, sometimes by Thursday, people will take opportunity and travel, and it affects productivity and other things. So it's not just for the 1st July, but we are going to see that in subsequent holidays. It happens that 1st July, it's on Tuesday, I think tomorrow. So that is why you had to celebrate the holiday on a Friday, but commemorate the day. And it's not going to be a 12-hour event, so that if the day was a holiday, it would have made it easier. The idea is that we want to begin this and say that from 1st July, let's use it as a day to pray for the nation and thank the nation. It doesn't have to be a holiday. If it happens to fall, and as it rotates, like your birthday, sometimes it will fall on the day you're born. At other times, it will fall on, let's say, a Saturday or a Friday, and then we can have this. But the idea is that as a nation, we need to manage how we celebrate our holidays. Because sometimes if the holiday is a Thursday, you realize that half of the people don't go to work on Friday, either because they over-celebrated the day before, or they feel that, oh, it's just Friday and other things. So we are looking at a bigger picture, not just the 1st July. But feedback noted, and we want to say that every Ghanaian should join. You know, football used to bring us together, and our football is facing challenges. I believe that this is a day that can bring us together as a nation, that whether you, irrespective of your age, tribe, political coloration, gender, whatever it is.
Yesterday in my church, when we prayed for the nation, we prayed for unity. And I remember my pastor was so very loud on unity. In fact, we said different topics, different prayers, about 3 or 4 different prayers, specifically on unity. So we need to, he probably sees that we've gotten to a point where the division is so deep that it's affecting the forward movement of the country. So
as a unity, we need it. We need it because, you know, in many Western world, it's so obvious, even for judges, that this person is A and this person is B. And yet, there is an underlying agreement that we have to do the basic things. And the judges don't shy away from it. People don't shy away from it. The difference has to be the approaches. But here, there is a vast difference. There is a vast difference. So we can be united in diversity. If you look at how we lived in secondary school, I think Ghanaians are very united, except when it comes to our politics. Because a lot of people, and then again, you can't blame them so much. A lot of people hide, even if they are not neutrals, because of how they are treated.
But
so unity, I think, is very important.
With this idea about moving holidays to Friday when they happen, the days are not static. They move. And let's take Independence Day. If it happens to fall on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it's moved to Friday, will we be observing the day on set March and still have the holiday on that? Then what happens to the whole idea of trying to save productive hours? We have May Day, Workers' Day. We have a way of celebrating it. What is going to happen to it if it doesn't fall on a Friday? So there needs to be more thinking into how this will
I think Loratu is misunderstanding the whole concept.
This will work. I mean, it's fantastic to try to find a way to save productive hours. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a fantastic way to go about it.
I see you're getting into the debate that was on the floor last week.
Okay,
about holidays. About holidays,
yes.
And
I think like set March
the government
like
the government has sent
or whatever
the notice to add one
public
more.
Schools have a day after after set March. So 7 March is always a holiday for public schools, and I'm limiting it to public schools because I hardly see private schools participate in that holiday. We'll probably have to.
No, so it's not a blanket statement. If you look at the Holidays Act, it is that the president may, where he deems necessary. Okay, so for instance, religious holidays are excluded. When 25th falls on a Tuesday, it would not be celebrated on a Friday. So it's not as if every holiday, if it happens to fall on a midweek, will be taken to end week. That's not it. It is as and when it becomes necessary. Then there is that additional power for an EI to create that holiday and not make the specific day a holiday. So be rest assured that it's not.
No, but Beatrice, then how does that also affect planning? At the beginning of every year, the only challenge we usually have is the one to do with Islamic holidays because we use the lunar calendar. So sometimes it's difficult, but these days it's even easier. You're able to predict what days it will be in time. So how does that, as and when, also affect planning? Because at the beginning of every year, businesses, government knows that these are the number of holidays we are going to. But if it's going to be as and when, as you explained,
the beautiful
how
thing,
does that also affect planning?
Annie, Laura to say she's a monitoring and evaluation expert.
Yes, so how does that affect planning? Because you need to plan.
When a new policy is introduced, it will be monitored, evaluated, and then yes. So as a monitoring and evaluation expert. So let me amend that to read as a monitoring and evaluation.
You know what is that monitoring? Almost a monitoring spirit.
So it will be monitored, evaluated, and if there is a need for review of specific things, except that here,
fix what is not broken.
Except that here, review doesn't mean cancel. So it will be monitored and review, feedback duly noted. I think we can move on to our substantive topic, if you ask me.
It was just something that I wanted to, since we're talking about holidays. So something happened last week. And on the floor of Parliament. Let me just read this episode. This is, say you didn't follow. There are videos, but for time.
I didn't follow.
So let me just read this. Holiday Act. Nothing has arisen to justify the urgency. Minority laments. So the minority leader in Parliament, Afenyo Makin, has rejected claims that he opposed the Public Holidays Amendment Act 2019 before the House, insisting that nothing has suddenly arisen to justify the urgency attached to its consideration. So speaking on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday, June 25, 2025, during the deliberations on the reports presented by the Interior Committee calling for a bill to be considered under the certificate of urgency, he stated that I am right here.
Was under a certificate of urgency?
Yes, I am right here in this chamber, and I will not sit for any member of Parliament to attempt an interpretation of what I have said and try to spin it. Mr. Speaker, I rose at a point where the committee had presented a report for us to consider this bill under the certificate of urgency. My argument was to effect that nothing has suddenly arisen. So he contended that the Minister for the Interior had long been aware of the existing law and could have initiated the process much earlier if the government had truly prioritized this matter. Indeed, the Minister has also had always known that this law existed, and if the government was minded, it would have been proceeded ahead of time. He said, then went on to say that the government intends to prioritize the agenda and their socio-economic promise that must be fulfilled, and I listened to them. Minority Leader further noted that he had no issue with the majority earlier submission, which he considered the usual politics. However, he found it unacceptable and misinterpreted. Now, there was a point where also there is an effort to add one more holiday to that of the Muslims, which he rose against. I wish I could play the video, but my team is not ready with it. So, and it was, he was making a submission as if he didn't support it. So the minority leader, Afenyo Makin.
But I thought that holiday was given. I was quite surprised because it was one of the key things that the government pushed. And Eid al-Fitr was 2 days. No, this government. Eid al-Fitr was 2 days. And I was surprised Eid al-Adha was only 1 day. In actual fact, because of the significance of Eid al-Adha, I believe that if anybody wants to really give days to any holiday, it has to be Eid al-Adha. Because that's the festival of sacrifice. Eid al-Fitr is just feasting after 30 days of fasting. So, well.
So what?
So,
do you support the government of giving an extra day for?
Because
Afenyo Makin's point was that government was not focusing on important issues and just focusing on holidays.
But I'm surprised they actually went on under a certificate of urgency. That's interesting.
But that's not where the argument was. The argument was on the fact that
we've had conversations about holidays, but I don't sit down here and pretend that I don't love holidays. I love holidays because those are the few days that you get to have time for yourself, looking at the schedule some of us have. But what's the thinking behind pushing some of these things? I mean, if there are 2 days for Eid al-Adha, I won't pretend I wouldn't love it. Because after making the sacrifice, I mean, definitely you need a day with the sharing and all that. It's not out of place to have 2 days for Eid al-Adha or 2 days for Eid al-Fitr. That is the justification and the explanation to it. That in Islamic countries, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr are celebrated over 3 days. You know, so if it happens to fall on a Wednesday, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, and for most of those countries, the week starts on Sunday because of Juma on Fridays. So it's we are a secular state. Okay. So when you are trying to push some of these things, you need to have a good enough justification for it. But I won't be against 2 holidays for Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha.
You won't be against it?
I won't be against it. I won't sit here and pretend I'm against it. No, I'm not.
All right. So, well, just a quick notice. In case you have a case in courts and you're probably expecting that tomorrow something will happen. Yes, tomorrow there's National Thanksgiving that's happening, both for, Christians and Muslims. But there's also something called Martyrs' Day, lawyers to withdraw service on June 30. And maybe, Beatrice, you tell me more about this, because it says that the Acting Chief Justice of Ghana, Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, has formally granted permission to members of the Ghana Bar Association, GBA, to abstain from court appearances on Monday, June 30, 2025, in observance of the year's Martyrs' Day celebration. Now, in a circular issued on Monday, June 17, 2025, all judges, okay, so that's a circular on the screen. All judges and magistrates across the country, the Acting Chief Justice noted that the exemption is in line with the long-standing tradition allowing legal practitioners to participate in the solemn national event commemorating the lives of judges who were murdered in line of duty. So in conformity with tradition, approval has been granted for members of the Ghana Bar Association to withdraw their services from court appearances on Monday, June 30, 2025. The directive stated the Martyrs' Day observation is a significant annual event marked to honor the memory of Justices Fred Poku Sarkodie, Cecilia Kranting Ado, and Kwejo Ajay Ejapong, as well as Major Sam Akwa, retired, who were abducted and murdered on June 30, 1982 during a dark chapter in Ghana's political history. How does it look like in courts when you have to observe a date
actually, like this? There is nothing that happens in court. And so lawyers are not supposed to attend court, and all cases will be adjourned. Normally, you would even know ahead of time. So I doubt anybody would even take a date for today. So today, lawyers won't go to court so that it can enable every lawyer to celebrate the Martyrs' Day. It just reminds us of how those 3 judges were in the most shameful manner murdered. I think that even if they were not judges, nobody deserved that kind of treatment. And we always abhor that. I mean, no lawyer is proud of that history. And so it's a day set aside both by judges and lawyers to, I mean, I won't say to celebrate. I don't know why they call it a celebration, but it just to remind us of that part of our history. And it's our prayer that we would never, ever experience that, whether judicial, political, or whatever form it is. I think that it's not something that reflects well on our nation. But as a nation, we have a history, some which we have to be proud, some which we don't have to be proud of. And I think that this is a part of history that nobody is proud of. I don't think that I know of anybody who is proud of this. And anytime we celebrate Martyrs Day, it also reminds me of the 8 people who were killed during the 2020 elections. I personally don't like going to the party headquarters, which is the NDC party headquarters, because of the images. Before you take the stairs, you see the images of those 8 people who were killed, and it brings me, I don't know, for some reason it traumatizes me. And so it should tell us that
you have it displayed at the office?
Yes, their images are displayed there, also to commemorate and to remind us as a people what happened in our quest to protect our democracy. And I think that it ought to be condemned, both Martyrs Day. Maybe we should find a name for that, so that it should also remind us that
Martyrs Day of shame.
Whatever it is, as a nation, I think that we need to come to a point where we take violence out of anything we do entirely. That we can agree to disagree, and in the most vehement manner, in the most vociferous manner, we can agree to disagree. But we should never let passions be so high as to empower some people to think that they can take the lives of others. I think that it's so bad, and personally I don't like talking about it. I don't even have the courage to go for the service. Normally they will organize a church service and all that. I don't attend those services because I don't want, I'm very imaginative, so I could create a lot of imageries in my head and all that. So I try to avoid all those things altogether. But for how long can we keep avoiding it? So I wish my colleagues at the bar who would attend, as many as would be able to attend, because it's not something that we're proud of. It's not something we should be proud of. Also, to the families of those 8 people watching me, I think that these, not to remind you of the pains that you've gone through, I think we should never have this in our history again. When we mention Ghana, perhaps we should end it here and not add on, if you ask me.
Dorothy, want to say a word or two about it?
I mean, Annie, this is not something that anybody, for most of us, and I believe those of us even sitting around this table, we've just read about it. We didn't experience it. So imagine those who experienced this and those who are related to these people, what they'll be going through. It's like they have to relive this every year for, it's 42 or 43 years now. I remember when I lost my sister, one of my friends who had lost his brother 12 years prior, said, you never forget these things. And it's turned out to be true, because a day doesn't pass without you mentioning or remembering something about that loved one. So we just have to still express our condolences, our sympathies with these families that lost dear ones in such a gruesome manner as this has been documented. And may we as a nation, no matter how charged we are, never get to such a point.
Right. I'm just thinking, I want to take us into maybe a second break. And then when we come back, we'll get into the issue of the CJ. So team, if we can take a break, please let me know. Can we? We can take a break. Okay, so let's just take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll get into the matter of CJ so that when we start talking, we are not interrupted by the commercials that we have to play. We'll be back shortly.
Car Center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Nadam Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Nadam Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Authority-GPHA, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Nadam Autofix, Wukwainso Nyonko Papa.
Wabedum Temaso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya Mabesisia. Abozig. I can say no ya konati and the more drink woman. Hey, but I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old dish. Hey, G. Dabio, baby womb. Ready? Hey, baby womb. Ah, Aji! I'll cause some discomfort. Ah! Sorry, well, uncle, where would I die? Why your funeral? At your phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share nanda danya wash mosquito call esudu womunumu. Na say spray with them sir. Try sima edronum ansana ko dynamo.
And Kratoi FDA Ajatum.
I'm here at MyCom.GA Limited to show you the Promethean Active Panel, the ultimate tool for corporate institutions, hospitals, schools, and your home. With its crystal clear 4K display and an unbreakable screen with an ultra responsive touch technology. This isn't just a screen, it's a game changer. For corporate institutions and in schools, this active panel can be used for Zoom meetings and PowerPoint presentation. And oh, your homes are not left behind. You can use it to watch all your favorite programs by just connecting to a Fire Stick, and you can get access to channels like Netflix and Amazon, and voila, you are in there. At MyCom.GA Limited, we provide you with the best quality products from the United States of America with 1-year warranty. You can get an
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
Ebusiafo ye mama kwaba eba Children's Palace. Nkwala nyema nyina fie enye. Yonkwala ntade mani mema nyina ntare nyina wase. Yonkwala shoes, yonkwala aduane, yonkwala wipes, yonkwala diapers, yonkwala toys, baby coat. In fact, bibia opama omanyina obenye biwa ase. located at East Legon Hills, Nana Krum KFC. Contact us on 059 172. Prudence Palace. Happy children, happy fashion. See you soon. Bye bye.
Wopɛ iPhone papa. Ye wo homa.
So open iPhones accessories papa dia menhwe baby a me ma wakwa ba EBA phones and accessories.
Sebani EBA yeton iPhones any ho accessories. iPhone 50 XL kosi 16 Pro Max. Accessories ye wo charger, AirPods any iPhone ho akade nyina. Yanuma ye ni sikapudu e de beto iPhone. Say ya ankrankre, boja and na say abon adwuma ye phone nyina. For 40% but the iPhone bia ope. Na ni aka no, wo de bosome miensa. Etua ne nkakra. E kwan ya obefa so de atwie ni. Dial *713*5571#. Oba, sheno so say wo de wo Ghana card. Ene nia e kire say wo ye adwuma. Hwehwe ye kire kwan e wo circle mo. Ene tiptoe line ni modern photos enchen ho a. Afein so, say wo ba American Mall, ye ni odo rice ene di nhwani. Kuma senso ye wo edum Central Prisons runabout ejekum abonsan ni mo. Freyen e wo numbers na ebu screen ni so no. EBA phones, no hassle cra.
Where to get polytank?
Oh, and you're right.
Go straight.
No, I want left, right.
And you press right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, and ye data. Who knows? I beg, na here. Me pe polytank ato. And you think I'm in here by you to be able to buy you. Oh, food to be here. I say, enjoy your cra.
Akuya bulambo kotoman. Emuha.
Like they take you by so. Came to me and go to the distributor and you give the original polytank. Polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank, Papananka Sankasa.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Cal Chocolate Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Cal Chocolate Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Park Hills, located at Panfukuro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakpleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
no matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
The law binds us all, and the law is the law is the law. Those who said, and the law is the law, did not complete the sentence. The law is the law is the law. That is the sentence.
Welcome back to the program. So I'm in the studio with Lawyer Beatrice Annan, who is a member of the NDC and also a presidential staffer. I also have Larata Mosasaka with me, a member of the MPP. We'll get into the legal issues now. And from last week, we have been talking definitely about the suspended Chief Justice because she spoke with the nation. And we have copies of her statement. We've discussed it during the week and over the weekend, and some statements also have been released about it. But let me read this. Lara, to this one. Taking some political twists because your communications director has said something about it.
Who's taking a political twist?
The statements I'm going to read.
Okay.
So about that presser that was held by Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu, and she expressing exactly how she feels about the whole process that she's going through with her removal. There's this story, NDC engineering calculated removal of CJ, EC bosses, Ahiagba alleges. So remember that there's also calls to remove the EC because of show of incompetence. We'll get into that later, but for now, let's deal with the Chief Justice for now. Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party, Richard Ayagba, has accused the ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC, of pursuing a calculated political agenda to remove the heads of independent institutional bodies, starting with the Chief Justice and now targeting the Electoral Commission. His remarks come in reaction to the recent call by NDC National Chairman Johnson Asiedu Nketia demanding the removal of the Electoral Commission Chairperson Jean Mensah and her deputies, Dr. Bosman Asare, Samuel Tete, citing alleged incompetence and erosion of the public trust. Richard Ayagba also condemned calls as part of what he described as a broader effort by the NDC to undermine institutional independence and consolidated control ahead of the 2028 elections. He labeled the Asiedu Nketia's suggestion as dangerous and reckless, warning that it poses a threat to the foundations of Ghana's democracy. I'm not surprised that these things will materialize. The first stop, if the Chief Justice, she's a goner. The commentary of the NDC is clear and explicit that the Chief Justice is going to go, even though the evidence is light and inconsequential. Richard Ayagba likes that word. And immediately she's gone. They will go back. And immediately she's gone, they will go back to remove the EC chairpersons. And it casts a stone. It's cast in stone. So that is the communications director for the NPP, Richard Ayagba. Now, just apologies, let me try and pull this up quickly, and then we will continue. Another statement also on the EC, and okay. Okay, there's a bit of some slowness there, but Lawrence, let me start off with you. I think when it opens, I'll just deal with it. Let me start off with you. Is it something that the party believes it is? Because you know, when the Chief Justice had gone to do the press conference, there was an interesting video, and when I saw, I smiled. I thought it was video? Nice. The Chief Justice, I think Akosia Meni went to greet the Chief Justice, okay. And the Chief Justice was actually sort of surprised seeing her, and then she had to, you know, make it clear to the media that, please, this is the first time I'm seeing her. And I smiled at it. I thought it was interesting. But is that the position of the MPP, or this was Richard Ayagba's just in individual position, or what
it should be the position of every well-meaning Ghanaian?
It's a position.
It should be the position of every well-meaning Ghanaian.
Oh, why?
Who believes that the judiciary is our safe haven, no matter how we perceive it, no matter the challenges we've had or stories we've heard about the judiciary. Moments ago, we just spoke about Martyrs' Day, right? 3 judges and an ex-military officer being murdered and burnt. And one of them, who happens to be the military officer, is Justice Tokonu's uncle. And from her statement, that was her guardian when she went to the university. So it should be the position of every well-meaning Ghanaian. What the CJ is going through is something that is preconceived by the government. They didn't mince words. It was virtually part of their campaign promises. Anytime a case went against them, there was a problem with the judiciary. Anytime a case went for them, the judiciary was kosher. So, for me, the only good thing in this is the Chief Justice has refused to be bullied out of her position. She is the leader of the bench, though suspended, but as it stands, she's the leader of the bench. And she's standing up for what is right. With all the stories we hear about the judiciary, how many of us get issues and petition the executive or go to parliament? We all go to the court.
Because that's where you're supposed to go.
Yes. When you take the presidency, you become a president on the ticket of a political party. So technically, the presidency is colored, depending on which party brings you in. And whatever policies and ideologies you move with ties into what your party's ideals are. We go to parliament. Minority, majority. You're sponsored by a party. Even though you end up becoming a member of parliament for a constituency, you go in there on the ticket of a political party. How many judges are appointed to the various levels of our judicial system based on their political coloration? Give me one. There may have been allegations of people having either been
You're asking me how many judges have been appointed based on their political coloration.
Yes.
I think that
as one of the recommendations for the appointment.
How about if it's known that he is a known political person, partisan?
But that is not a qualification
Matters
to
not.
be at the bench.
Matters not. Once it's public knowledge that you actually contested on the ticket of a political party position,
don't our judges
that masks your qualification a bit?
Yes, but that is not what is considered to nominate someone as a judge, unless you want to tell me otherwise. By the way we run our institutions, will your affiliation or membership to a political party be what you'll be considered with?
But let's be careful.
When you're going,
I'm sorry.
When you're going to contest
let me come in
a
here.
political party,
I just want to make this point.
To be presidential candidate.
No, I just want to make this point.
Okay.
I'm not sure where, as a country, we draw the line. Even as I sit here, every time I go to the polls to vote, I have an interest.
Exactly.
I know who to vote for. Interest. Yes, but where do we draw the line when it comes to certain positions?
So if you make me build my point.
No, when it comes to certain positions that we have to ensure that we want to protect the integrity of that particular office, including the Electoral Commission, including the judiciary. Therefore, executive and a legislature, they are strictly partisan. We can't do anything about it. It is what it is. But there are certain positions, we know that they all have interest. They have a cascading effect on both of them or otherwise. We have to ensure that at some point we draw the line where it doesn't get to a point where we say it's free for all. So even if you stand as a party chairman, you can still become an electoral commissioner. I mean, common sense will not even allow you.
On the point of every time you vote for an interest. But when you sit here, you sit as what? You sit as
a neutral.
A neutral, right? That is the position in which you're sitting in now. I sit here as what? I sit here as a member of the New Patriotic Party. Beatrice sits here first as a member of the National Democratic Congress. When we go to the polls, and voting is a civic responsibility, I don't even believe or encourage people not to exercise that responsibility. Because if we want to build the nation that we want, we all must be part of the voting process or the decision-making process. Our judges are citizens too. They vote. So at every point in time, a judge has an interest, which you and I will not know, because your ballot is your secret. You can't sit here, I can't sit here and say, I can assume that Annie voted for the NDC, but I can't state that for a fact. But you can confidently say
where I was going
you
to.
can confidently say that I voted for the MPP.
Yeah.
By virtue of the fact that I've identified myself as a member of the New Patriotic Party. Maybe I didn't. But you can say that for a fact by virtue of the fact that I've identified myself. It would be ridiculous to sit here and say Beatrice didn't vote for the NDC. So that's the point I'm making. The executive is purely partisan. The legislature is purely partisan. But the judiciary is the neutral ground for all of us. So if you have a government prior to coming into office made all sort of comments about this particular CJ and come into government and implement it, there's nothing nation building or holding our democracy dear or keeping the sanctity and independence of our institutions about what they are doing. It's premeditated political vendetta. The CJ is just being victimized by virtue of the fact that the government of the day, sponsored by the National Democratic Congress, believes that she's not for them. As simple as that. And those are the things that we need to eschew. No matter how much we pray, no matter the number of national days of prayers we designate, if we are going to be going on this vindictive route, it will make no meaning. Because you can't be preaching virtue and practicing vice. Can go back and cite examples. But if it was wrong yesterday, it is wrong today. And this is the first time in the history, and I stand to be corrected, because I'm not 68 years or above 68 years, but in the 68 years of our country, of our republic, I don't think anybody has made it a priority to destabilize the judiciary like this. I stand to be corrected. So in all the name of having a Ghana for all, building a democratic society, having all of us unite in purpose, and this is being done to the neutral ground we all run to. Today, if I do something to Beatrice, and she thinks her rights have been infringed on, she'll take me to court. Same as you. I will do same. Because that's where we all go and seek redress. If we feel that our rights have been infringed on. But if there is the priority of this government to implement the promises they made during campaign, went as far as calling her the women's organizer of the new patriotic party, mimicking even how she preaches in church on live TV, said all sorts of things about her prior to election, and now you are in power. And you are dragging her all over the place. We can only say, because, I mean, we run an executive presidency. If the president doesn't want you, you're gone. And Richard is not far from.
If the president doesn't want you?
Yes. And
what do you mean
obvious.
if the president doesn't want you?
We have a lot, the president wields a lot of power. Even mentioning the Council of State, apart from the 16 that are elected, right? There are about 10, right, that are appointed by the president. So there's a lot of power and a lot of things, but
that the president can utilize to probably
to do what he wants to do.
Wish away the petitions.
Do what he wants to do. He's decided to fulfill the promise of packing the courts and getting rid of a unanimous SC and all the things they said during the electioneering campaign. But this is a precedent they are setting. And I don't believe, and I think every well-meaning Ghanaian shouldn't think that this is a precedent that grows or enhances nation building.
So as a
and
matter
our
of
democracy.
unfairness, I would not sit here and maybe even allow the branding or accept the branding of the suspended Chief Justice because I don't have facts. Because she has not been or she's not held any partisan position as far as my history tells me. So I cannot say that. But when it comes to the other judges, there are some judges that Nana Addo himself appointed who were factually partisan people.
But were they appointed because they were partisan?
No, it's not the because. It's not the because. Judges. It's not the because. The reasoning into protecting.
They went to.
I'm sorry.
They go to
I'm sorry. The reasoning into protecting the sanctity of these institutions or these arms of government is because they send a certain or people they deal with or issues they deal with, sometimes contains a certain level of bias or it makes people very much suspicious and not trust the process just because they have seen them.
They've seen them.
They've seen them.
So
there are facts behind the fact that you are. It's like Apia Hene at the EC.
So why doesn't that bias come to play when these people in question win the cases they take to court? Why is it that the bias always come to play when they lose?
But it depends on who is sitting on the case.
No, you're talking about judges being on cases and people having preconceived.
Yeah, but these judges don't sit on every case. In fact, sometimes judges sometimes justices will recuse themselves. Sometimes some of these cases, judges will recuse themselves because they have a certain interest.
Come again?
They don't sit on all cases. Depends on the case.
No, you gave a scenario.
Because if I take a case to court and I find Justice Apau sitting on it, and I am, or he's one of the, among the panel, Gau, and I am, say NDC, or my case I've taken is an NDC case.
It's an NDC MPP case.
I will not be comfortable seeing him sitting on the panel. So he may even choose to recuse himself.
So if you win, will you still have that same idea?
No, but first of all, he will not be there.
Yes.
For me to even
raise the issue of recusing
before the
himself.
case starts, yes.
And these judges were not just picked there. They went through some form of vetting, didn't they? They went through vetting.
And what happened?
What were the considerations? their service.
During the vetting, these issues were not raised at vetting.
They're not raised.
Yes.
No, you should be telling me.
I
didn't follow.
You didn't follow the vetting.
It's procedure, right?
It's procedure.
You're nominated. You go for vote. But Annie, there are how many channels? There are how many things happening in this world? I can't be following everything.
Okay.
You get it. But the question I'm asking you is, as you sat here, when I come on set, right? You have your interest, and most of the time, to be very blunt, I don't feel that your interest favors me as a member of the New Patriotic Party.
What interest do I have?
Well, that's up to you. Those are it could be your biases. But that doesn't take away the fact that I sit here and decide that, okay, because I have this perception.
That's your perception.
I shouldn't I shouldn't say what I want to say.
Like your friend,
I shouldn't do what
like your friend will say. You are mixing apples with pepper.
Which friend?
Okujeto Ablakwa.
Okujeto is not my friend.
You're mixing apples with pepper.
They are vegetables.
Yeah, it is different.
You are what? Apples with pepper.
Yeah, he doesn't say oranges. Yes, it means that it's so far. It's just so far.
But he's been doing that a lot.
Okay.
It takes one to
Please,
know
I didn't bring his matter on the table.
He does that a lot. I mean, recently you've seen what he's done. He didn't even. He makes honey with
the point
pepper.
I'm making is that if you've seen me holding maybe a piece of paper, flowing Richard Ahangba, that I am the personal assistant of Richard Ahangba. I have attended party activities. I am in colors. I'm clad in colors. I'm sitting on TV defending the party. I'm doing all that, and then tomorrow you come and meet me sitting here to modern a program.
Why are you using Richard
Hold on, because I'm doing partisan, and then Beatrice is looking at me. I'm moderating a program. How is she going to feel that? It is different when you have a perception. It's different when you have a perception.
Beatrice sitting here is very good friends with Richard.
That matters not. It matters, but this is
you
partisan.
are very good friends with Richard.
But this is different.
You have friends.
No, Laratu, I'm saying that.
Annie,
the fact that you have a perception about someone is different.
There are a lot of
when we're going through processes, we deal with facts.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. That the consideration of someone going onto the bench is not about the party they belong to. It's about their service and their legal profession and experience.
So where do we draw the line?
But can you also say for a fact that these judges, because you see, when you do that, we can go back to, for instance, the election petitions that we've had in 2012 and I think 2020, right? And talk about some of those things. There were allegations of people being biased in the 2012 one.
I'm not talking about allegations.
No, that's what I'm saying. Listen, what I'm saying is, unless you know for a fact that the person who was appointed by maybe government A, which was sponsored by the MPP, or government B, which was sponsored by the NDC, was appointed and is sitting down there not using law, not using what the job he's on requires, but just using his or her political affiliation to decide on issues. That's where we have a problem.
That's where the MPP has a problem.
But when you go to Parliament, right, the minority side is purely MPP, right? So there are joint statements with the party, there are agreements with the party. The majority side is purely NDC, with some independent candidates now from how they sit. Their decisions are based on the manifesto that brought them to power. Purely partisan. The executive is based on what they promised us, but the judiciary is us and when and what comes before that. And that is our safe haven. So trying to destabilize that safe haven is what we should be worried about, and that is what I'm saying.
Okay, Beatrice, let me come to you. You have been accused. You're the one, trying to justify your attempt to destabilize the safe haven Ghana is left with?
I think that this morning's submission of Flora totally does not address the press conference. And that was some brilliant navigation there, because I'm very certain that my friend is aware that the supposed press conference by the Chief Justice was very needless, and it is in breach of Article 146. I also think that the press conference by the Chief Justice is unfair to her colleagues who are sitting as committee members investigating this matter, because first of all, the committee would not have a spokesperson to put their version of the facts across, and the chairman of the committee or no member of the committee can sit because of the constitutional injunction on them. And so that was also a bit unfair. But most importantly,
this constitutional injunction, does it cover the witness?
Yes. The idea is that if everything is in camera, then everything is in camera, including the witnesses, the exhibits,
thoughts,
and whatever.
Emotions.
Yes, and I think that the Chief Justice, I believe, knows better. But for me, I am very, and I want to believe that this is deliberate and not legal. Because if this is the appreciation of law of the woman who is in charge of our judiciary, then we should be scared and worried. The Chief Justice says that she is 38 years as a lawyer. And for me, as a young lawyer, that is no, it is no small, it's something so big to celebrate, that a woman has been able to successfully practice law for 38 years of her life. And yet, the kinds of things she says leaves me wondering whether this is really her appreciation of law. And I want to believe that this is not her appreciation of law, because that was below standard. I want to believe that it was...
Whose standards are you setting?
I mean, by every reasonable lawyer standard.
Okay.
Because you see, and to be fair to her, I think she is going through a lot. She's been more emotional than legal, or that she did not know how to articulate her thoughts properly. Perhaps I would forgive her, but I do not think that a Chief Justice should be making some of the legal propositions she made. And I'll explain why I say so. But there is a reason why, if you're a lawyer and you want to go to court, or you happen to have a brush with the law, we advise you go for a lawyer, is that we anticipate that sometimes you will be so emotionally involved that sometimes you may be making some illogical legal argument, or you would want that the law is changed for your personal reason. And I think if you ask me...
So that can even affect you even as a lawyer?
Yes, and that's why...
Or as an experienced person?
Even amongst us, some lawyers are known as lawyer's lawyer, because they are so good that if you have a case, you would give it to this colleague over that colleague, because you know they are good. And I think that she ought to have allowed either her lawyers to I don't know, but I don't even think her lawyers would have made some of the legal propositions she was making. And that for me is scary, because you can imagine if she was a judge in a matter against someone, and this is the conclusion, or this is the line of argument she would advance, then it doesn't sit well with me. It's not elegant, let me say it that way. So I want to believe it's because she's been emotional, perhaps, like she's saying, Edu Lodge has traumatized her so much that she probably is also traumatized in some of her legal proposition. First of all, the Chief Justice says that the whole processes leading to her suspension is a violation of her human rights. I think that respectfully to Auntie Araba, she did not demonstrate in her statement what exactly constitutes a violation of her human rights or what right she has as a Chief Justice so special above any other superior court judge which were violated. She merely made the statement that these were violations of my human rights starting from the suspension. I want to respectfully submit to her that the suspension was done in accordance with law and there were no violations of her human rights, howsoever described.
You know, before this presser, she made, certain concerns public about how she is searched when she is, entering the committee.
I will address all
I
those.
think that's where, and she said that males are the ones, as a female and as a senior.
It is not true. That is not true. I will address that.
Okay.
Annie, and I want to address the whole Chief Justice things, in about 4 areas. Why she believes that she was not treated fairly, and to expose her duplicity and the fact that she ought not to have spoken to the nation, because now she doesn't have sympathy from anyone. Over the weekend, I monitored submissions of colleague lawyers and even senior lawyers who, prior to her press conference, were even sympathetic to her. And now she doesn't have, apart from her friends in MPP and others, I don't think anybody in the nation sympathizes or empathizes with her again, because she's lost that. First of all, the Chief Justice says that the process is so unfair because the committee sitting did not tell her the grounds for which a prima facie case has been established and other grounds which they did not find merit in the petition. And so she's having to defend the entire case again. Then I link that to another point she makes, that she was not given copies of the petition by the committee. She was not given her own responses. And then she was not also given the, for want of a better expression, the ruling on the prima facie case. I think the learned Chief Justice, I don't know, I can't find the right expression, but I think she's really being misled. First of all, there is no constitutional or legal basis for the Justice Puaman Committee to give her copies of the prima facie. In fact, she should even be grateful that this committee hearing her matter or inquiring into her matter are starting from a clean slate.
Oh, what do you mean clean slate?
Because they don't have anything to prejudice them that the Council of State found as a matter of A, B, C, D against you.
No, you need to explain this.
I will explain, don't worry.
Clean sheet.
Secondly, we were all here when she wrote a letter to the president, which she leaked to the media, asking for copies of the petition. The copies were given to her. So she has copies of the petition.
Yeah, but she says she's not sure if that's the same the committee is using.
It is her belief that the president will give her one copy, different from what the president will give to the committee. Is that the case? Assuming we were even to go with her argument on she
maybe
not having...
maybe the committee serves her with one, she will have the opportunity to compare the two and then know that all the responses she's providing the committee is making sense.
The committee told her that the one that you have is the one that you should use. But at least, without even admitting that fact, what about her own responses which she drafted? That she's complaining that my responses which I provided, on the basis of which a prima facie case is made, I don't have my own responses. So committee, give me my own responses. Does that even make any sense to anyone? Her own responses. She says that she was not giving copies of her own responses. So for that reason, she's being treated unfairly. I mean, this is the weakest argument any Chief Justice would make. And that's why I think that there is fundamentally something wrong with this press conference. Secondly,
that copy of her responses, did she make that request at the committee stage? She doesn't
tell us.
It was just a process she was going through and they didn't
tell us. She only says...
Because if I came to the committee on a certain day and I said, can I have a copy of my responses? I don't have it, or I didn't bring a copy. That would be a fair
No, but that is why I'm saying that she has put the committee in the position that they cannot come and respond
in public.
So we cannot tell whether she asked and the committee said, oh, the copies are the same as you submitted, or we cannot tell. And that is why the Chief Justice ought to know better. Unless she's inviting the whole committee and herself to actually try the whole matter through press conferences and counter press conference. But you see, the second argument she makes is that the petitioners, or 2 out of the 3 petitioners, were not allowed to testify, for which reason she did not have the benefit of cross-examining them. When the Justice Tokonu get to that knowledge, that by disallowing witnesses to or parties to testify in a matter, you would have been doing injustice to the other party. When did she come to this knowledge? After she was suspended, before she was suspended, or when? I wish I would. I mean, I would listen to her when she came to this knowledge.
I know where you want to. I know where you want to go to.
I don't want to go
but
there.
Is it fair? She makes that point.
There is everything fair. The legal principle is that a party need not testify in a matter. A party need not testify. In fact, I have a favorite case, which is Majolabi versus Labi. As far back as 1959, the court said that where a party makes an averment capable of proof, that party does not mount the witness box to repeat the averments made, and that party had the obligation to lead evidence by means of proof. That means of proof could be documentary, it could be through witnesses. The party need not mount it. The Chief Justice herself, in her own petition, says that the allegations of one of the petitioners, Daniel Ofori, apart from 2 grounds, many of those allegations did not relate to the person of Mr. Daniel Ofori. And so if Mr. Daniel Ofori makes an averment, which is capable of proof, and that proof will mean that calling other witnesses, that proof will mean that supplying the committee with documents, why does he have to mount the witness box? For you to cross-examine. Why? When there are other means of proof the parties could elect. And that matter had been settled. So I don't know why a whole Chief Justice will say that because the legal principle is being followed, then her fundamental human rights have been breached. Nobody taught us this in law school. Nobody would teach this kind of thing. And I think the Chief Justice knows this is purely calculated to mislead the public. Again, he says that, you know what? My human rights are being violated Because I do not have the benefit of seeing the handsome face of my husband while I sit there.
But it's in camera.
Wait, does she go to court when she's sitting as a Chief Justice with her husband facing her? Does she have the benefit of always having the husband in her court? She may be in love with the husband, but the Lord did not contemplate that one day we will have someone who is so much in love with the husband that if the husband was not by her to hold the hands and in the most romantic manner say that I'm with you, darling, then that amounts to a breach of a human right. That cannot be so. The justices and the committee members who are sitting, does the Chief Justice think they are not in love? That they can have their spouses there too? It is a courtesy that if you were afforded, it would have been okay. But it does not amount to a breach of your fundamental human rights. Let me tell you, when we are conducting divorce proceedings, people come to the proceedings with their parents, some with their sisters, some with people they so love and cherish. But any time the case is called for trial, what does the court do? The court do? They will clear the court. And they will leave only the parties, the husband and the wife. Why? There is a reason, because that trial has to be held in camera. So even if my sister was with me throughout the process, my mother was with the petitioner, whatever it is, when it gets to that place, we clear the court. Even if you don't mind they hearing the details, there is a rationale behind that.
What's the rationale? The
rationale is that it is between the two parties. But the Chief Justice, she should separate the Bible verse that, and the two shall become one. Because in law, husband and wives are not deemed as one entity. They are separate. That is why the husband was not suspended. And she's the only one on suspension. That is why if your spouse commits a criminal offense, they don't come and arrest the wife because the husband has committed a criminal offense. We separate the two entities. And so no law is breached merely because a spouse and a child and a family member is not allowed in the premises. Now the issue of searching. The Chief Justice ought to know that the moment you are suspended, you do not enjoy the same rights and privileges as if you were in your official capacity. Besides, this is the Chief Justice that is so quick to run to the media. Why can't we search people who want to record? And what is wrong with searching? Why can't the equality before the law? I work at Jubilee. Every morning before I go to work, I am searched. It doesn't mean that they don't trust that you are not there. So what is it with this section and whatever becoming an issue? Now the Chief Justice makes another legal argument.
I'm sorry, and the searching matter, I'm not sure I got it clearly. Are you saying that there's nothing wrong with the male?
What is wrong?
Searching
it is not a breach of anybody's fundamental right. You are going to...
No, but which is after that one. Even when you're traveling.
No, a woman... and let me
sorry,
correct.
even when you're traveling, you get to the
yes.
security check. There's a man, there's a woman.
Yes.
When you get there, they say...
No, please, let me put on record. Let me put on record. The law is that when it comes to search, a woman must search a woman and a man must search a man. So even without this, when you go anywhere, no man has a right to search a woman.
Yeah.
In the case of a Chief Justice, it is not a man that searches her. Let me put that on record.
Really?
Yes, it is not a man that searches her. She knows that.
Are you saying that she lied?
I'm saying that it is not a man that searches her. She knows that. Is she saying that the lady looks so masculine that she cannot...
I want to ask, maybe the lady
looks... it is not a man that searches her. That has to be put on record. It is not a man. You can quote me anywhere. It is not a man that searches the Chief Justice before she goes into the premises to conduct, it is not a man. That's one. It is
Wow.
not. Maybe she's mistaken that maybe the person looks like a man, but it is not a man.
Is she dressed looking like wearing trousers?
It is a woman that says it is not done anywhere, not even in ordinary spaces where you are being
Are you
searched.
saying that Chief Justice cannot identify who a man is from a woman?
I'm saying that between the Chief Justice and I, she knows, between her and her God, she knows that it is not a man that searches her. She knows that. Perhaps, like she's saying, the venue Edu Lodge may be so traumatizing that by the time she gets there, she's not able to watch around well. But the point has to be made that it's not a man. Now the Chief Justice says that, you know what? The committee is in breach of my constitutionally guaranteed rights because the committee ought to have used CI 65, which is like the rules governing commissions of inquiries. But this committee chose to use what we call CI 47, that governs civil procedure. And this is, again, why I say that either the Chief Justice is being emotional or she is deliberately misleading the public. Annie, I have here with me CI 65 and I will send it to you. If Lorati wants it, I'll send it to her. Please go to Rule 20 of CI 65. And this is the CI that the Chief Justice says the committee should have used. This is what Rule 20 says. Rule 20, Sub Rule 1. A commission may deviate from the application of a provision of these rules, where in the opinion of the members of the commission, strict adherence to the provision is not compatible with or is not essential to the performance of the functions of the committee. This is where it even gets more interesting. That subject to these rules, the High Court Civil Procedure Rule CI 47, which the Chief Justice says they are currently using, shall apply to the proceedings of a commission with the necessary modifications that are necessary for the effective performance of the functions of the commission. And it gets even more interesting. The modifications may be in writing or verbal as determined by the chairperson. So first of all, even where the Chief Justice says that they should have used CI 65, this CI 65 says that Commission of Inquiry, you can use the CI 47 you are using with the necessary modification. But most importantly, if you look at the preamble of the CI
itself,
the CI 65, it says that in exercise of the powers conferred on the Rules of Court Committee by Clause 2 of Article 281 of the Constitution, these rules are hereby made on this day, 12th day of November 2029. It means that these rules are applicable to commissions of inquiries created under Article 281 and not Article 146. The learned, celebrated Chief Justice, Auntie Abba, ought to have known this. Or those who were advising her did not read up to Rule 20. I think that there are weightier matters for us to discuss.
But your interpretation or your understanding is not necessarily sacrosanct.
It's not my interpretation. That's what the rule says. Well, it's not as if the rule says something.
Maybe they have read it all. And maybe their interpretation
and this is their
was
interpretation.
Different. Exactly.
Okay, then their interpretation is absolutely wrong. Whether in law or in logic, it is wrong by every standard. And you see, I was expecting, and this is where my disappointment lies, that in a removal of a Chief Justice such as this,
it's a CI65 is what you have on your screen, just in case you're wondering. My people kind of put it.
If the Chief Justice ought to address the nation, I expected something that will enrich our jurisprudence. It was my expectation that some I mean, those days when you listen to Justice Taylor, Justice Sowa, I can imagine if they were, coming to address the nation on matters like this, even if you will not agree with the Chief Justice on certain matters, you would have seen legal reasoning that enriches our jurisdiction. We have a Constitutional Review Commission that's currently taking views and asking what can be done better. And you would have been seeing that, in fact, this process should even guide us in making sure that going forward, we either strengthen or maintain or change our laws on removing heads of independent institutions. And then you have the Chief Justice come and give us this lecture. But you see, in all these, you must give it to the Chief Justice. I think that she will make a very fine politician. If you ask me, I think she will make a very fine politician.
Unfair.
Oh, no, why not?
She didn't tell you she wants to be a politician. She's been.
I'm not saying
she's been a practicing lawyer for 35 years. If she really wanted to be,
don't reduce it.
Sorry, 38 years. If she really wanted to be a politician, she would have done that a long time ago.
Oh, it's not too late. She can start if she wants. There is nothing that bad said. But the most important point that has to be made is that the MPP is trying so hard to paint President Mahama as someone who wants to interfere with the judiciary. First of all, it is important to state that President Mahama has not evinced an intention to go after any judge. Let me show you why. Isn't Justice Gawu an MPP parliamentary, or was he not an MPP parliamentary candidate? Is Justice Tokono the only person that Nanado appointed? Are those judges not freely doing their work? So if the NDC wanted to go after judges because we think Nanado appointed them, the Chief Justice should even be the last person we should be going after. It has got nothing to do with President Mahama. 3 citizens of this country petitioned. Their petition, in accordance with law, was referred to the Council of State, and all other events thereafter are in consonance with the laws of Ghana. And it is also instructive to say that the Chief Justice, in her 17-page address to the nation, did not in any way or anywhere say that President Mahama has breached any law, except to say that Auntie Araba must know that when laws are made, they are not made for the benefit of elites and those who occupy position. That no matter who you are, the principle of rule of law is that all others must be equal before the law. So when Article 140 was carefully crafted, they did not anticipate her as a person. So they did not take into consideration her personal emotions, sentiments, and feelings. What they took into consideration is what should be the proper procedures. And now let me conclude by saying something. The Chief Justice made a certain statement, and I was so scandalized. At the time I was watching, I was hoping if I were close, hold her dress to say, don't say this. You know what the Chief Justice said? The person who presides over the judicial system, that you and I and all ordinary people, Auntie Akosia, Araba, Alote, Pakpo, and everybody must go to for justice, says that if she did not come into contact with the proceedings or the justice system, she would never have imagined that this is what people go through in the justice system. To quote Mr. Kwesi Pratt, my goodness. The Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary, is feigning ignorance about the challenges of ordinary Ghanaian in the judiciary, and until she was subjected to what she's ordinary... when we go to court...
She's not feigning.
When we go to court...
You can't necessarily say she's feigning. Maybe genuinely, she doesn't know.
Really?
Yeah, you can't say that she's feigning.
That alone, it's another ground for removal.
That is an indictment on her.
That alone, it's another ground for removal. That the Chief Justice... No, I don't think you want to say the Chief Justice. See, As ordinary lawyers, when we are going to court in the mornings, we are searched at the court premises. At least I know of the High Court. So that is what ordinary people go through. Nothing special. She complains that when her human rights were being violated and she filed a supplementary affidavit, the Supreme Court struck out those supplementary affidavits. That is what the ordinary person goes through every time. When you file supplementary affidavit or even affidavit which are not in consonance with law, they will be struck out. She has had to strike out many.
Okay.
So what is she complaining about?
Okay.
But must the Chief Justice go through this to understand the justice system?
Okay.
And I want to say and conclude that
concluding for a long time.
it is important to establish the point that President Mahama has not done anything. This is purely done in accordance with law. And you know the irony, Justice Esiedu, who is a member of the committee. You know when the Vincent case went before the court, the Chief Justice found her worthy and empaneled the same man who is on this committee to hear that matter. What has changed? What has changed? I think that the Chief Justice should allow the process. When she presents a very strong and solid defense, which is my expectation, she would be cleared. If she has questions to answer, she will answer.
Okay.
But this should tell all of us that we are all equal before the law.
There's something that and today I'll take the chance to read a few of the messages on Facebook. Some of you have made certain calls, and I've heard your calls. So I'll pick this, but this is important. Bartholomew, is that the name? Bartholomew Kufolo. He says that the woman said she was searched. She did not mention the gender. Okay. And then also, Kaleshi Kwesi Dasomo says that, are you not listening to or viewing when Beatrice Annan said that she is putting it on record that she wasn't searched by a man? Please, if you don't hear it, after the program, revisit and listen to it again. Okay. So if she's saying that she wasn't searched by, if she says that the human rights were being violated, and then some also suspect that maybe she was being searched by a man. There's just some clarity that has to be made to it. And Beatrice is saying that it's a woman that searches her, not a man. So if a woman is searching you, okay, maybe the woman, these days the women too, you cannot be sure. Maybe the way they do it is just too much. So by her own standards, she probably thinks it's not fair. And then let me pick MMTV says that Jane. Oh no, MMTV, I'm not going to read your message. You see, write your messages, or if you really want us to pick Facebook messages, please. Samira Achaya Jete presents Present ma'am, since Beatrice Annan is on the set, it's worth listening. Numesi Nenena is the one that's sending this. Israel Bruce says that, Annie, your studio is not a courtroom. Stop disturbing Beatrice. Am I?
I agree with that text.
Today, I think I was disturbing Beatrice small, but I beg. Ghana first, no matter the noise, the law is the law. The CJ should allow the law to work, you say. Christina Kushiwo says that, what are you saying, Annie? She is the head of judiciary and not an ordinary person. Please respect yourself. Christina Kushiwo.
Respect yourself.
I should respect. Christina, good morning to you. Today I decided to read messages from Facebook, and hey guys, you guys can write. Anyway, so I think I'll pull, with Christina's message, I just pulled the brakes there because I can't be really sending messages. I'm sure you'll go beyond what you have to write, but please keep your message a bit respectful. Chumbuafo also sent on WhatsApp. He says that, Annie, good morning to you, Kojo Chumbuafo. He says, Laratu, my dear Laratu, you say, and I quote, if it was wrong then, it is wrong now. So did you know?
Without him sending a
So did you know it was wrong then? And where was your erudite voice then? You knew what was wrong. Kept mum or kept mute. You want to say
Chief Justice been
for
before?
what's wrong? For what?
As a Chief Justice,
for what was wrong to become precedent. And now you're telling us to adopt the Kumbaya principles. It is time you people in the NPP understand the ut omnis unum sint. Please, British, what's that? That all may be one. Okay. Does not only apply when you are in opposition. You were wrongly cautioned when Akufo-Addo sent a motion, set in motion a blueprint for removing Article 72 holders. At the time, you said nothing. In fact, you were handling the decision and calling, you were hailing the decision and calling Akufo-Addo a conveyor belt. What has changed? President Mahama too cannot be a conveyor belt. Hippopotamus, hypocrisy at its zenith. Please, at least President Mahama has built an airport terminal. He has more rights to assume the posture of a conveyor belt than Akufo-Addo, who has not even built a bus stop, you say. A father, okay, let me jump, this is just, you guys, please keep your messages short. This one, Annie, okay. Musa Pato says, good morning, Annie. The suspended Chief Justice's reference to the past killing of judges appears to be a calculated attempt to invoke public sympathy and emotionally pressure the government. Her credibility is in question, especially considering she raised no objection when the status of the murdered judges was publicly displayed at the Supreme Court entrance. So the situation she finds herself in today stems largely from the decisions made under the President Akufo-Addo rather than engaging in media theatrics. And she should respect the legal process at least as clearly outlined in Article 46 of the Constitution. Laratu, you wanted to make a point. Let me allow you.
No. What I was going to ask is what Beatrice meant by the committee starting on the clean sheet. I thought there was a case against the Chief Justice. And whichever way Beatrice wants to see it, Beatrice has not departed from her position before elections. She's had the stance against the Chief Justice even before they set up the process to remove her. So it's nothing new for Beatrice to go the way she's going. I mean, she sat on this very set, mimicked how she preaches, called her out on things that they believed were not in their favor. So it's not strange for Beatrice to go the way she's going and use all kinds of statements and words against her. At the end of the day, it's the judiciary that she belongs to and actually practices at the other side of the bench that is being destabilized. If she thinks she'll support it, at the end of the day, she's the one who appears before judges, not some of us. Some of us only go there to go and seek redress if we feel our rights have been infringed or we feel not treated fairly in one way or the other. But let's also have it for a fact. And I'll have a lot of references for this from her. Since independence, right? This is the first time we're having a vice president, female. We've only had one female Speaker of Parliament. We've had, 2 EC chairpersons, and
we have 2 female Chief Justices.
3 female Chief Justices. Right. This is not how we want to see the tenure of the 3rd female. The only arm of government that has given opportunities to women to, should I say, for lack of a better expression, shine. They may have their grievances against the Chief Justice Tokono, which they never hid before election and now that they are in government. But like Richard puts in his writer, it is not about Chief Justice Tokono. She's raised questions. She's raised issues. She's debunked the allegations against her in those petitions. Even in her statement, one of the petitioners, she says, is not a registered entity, whichever way. They have executive power. They think that they can deal with everybody. They can show everyone where power lies. This is the only safe haven we have as a country. And for people pushing for National Day of Prayer, pushing for unity, pushing for Ghana for all, I think it's strange for them to prioritize the removal of the head of an institution like the judiciary.
Beatrice, do I have to respond?
I have a specific question.
Then let me respond so you ask.
No. Let me ask. So you just mash it all together. The Edu Lodge. Is there a possibility that we could have had other options of maybe other judicial facilities, as she stated? That judicial facilities that we could have used. I mean, you're saying in your submission, you actually said that certain courtesies could have been granted her.
That's the Chief Justice.
Although it's not situated in law, as a committee, they could have considered a few things. If someone is going through challenges, it's only normal that, okay, I know that the weight on your shoulders is a lot, so we want to make it a bit lighter, even though you'll be appearing before the committee.
The question you are asking implies that the committee should have been aware of the Chief Justice's childhood traumas.
Oh, come on, Beatrice.
How would they have known?
Don't trivialize some of these
But they knew she was actually related to
No, how would
the judge?
Don't trivialize some of these things.
Laura, when you were talking, I didn't interrupt you.
Please.
Please write it down. You can take a
trivialize some of these.
Write it down when I'm done.
She's making an immediate injunction. What's it called?
I'm saying
objection before you end.
The committee could not have known. As I sit here, do you know the things that have happened to me during my childhood? Do you know? So at the time of relating to
spoke
me,
about Martha's Day.
Please allow me.
As a lawyer,
how would they have known?
Trivialize this?
First of all, they wouldn't have known. Secondly, this Edu Lodge, we are being told by the man that Justice Tokonu says that is the embodiment of rule of law. Justice Tokonu describes Akufo-Addo as the embodiment. He says he's the only president that embodies the rule of law. This embodiment of rule of law has told us that the Edu Lodge represents the highest form of diplomacy and service to your nation. Is that not what Nanado told us? So how did Edu Lodge, which the MPP renovated and believe that is the highest form, or that anytime you see Edu Lodge, what should come to your mind is service to nation and diplomacy. How are we supposed to know that all of a sudden that Edu Lodge will become a traumatic venue? In any case, in Justice Tokonu's own 17-page statement, she says that the death occurred in June and referred us to a report which, when you read, in fact, that is the final report of the Special Investigation Board on the kidnapping and killing of specified person, and referred us to that report. And in paragraph 9 of that report, the mention of Edu Lodge appeared on 31st October 1982. So if we should go by her account, then at the time the death occurred, Edu Lodge had no place. Nobody is saying that her trauma is not valid. But we are saying that it cannot be the basis to say that the committee is being unfair to you. In fact, my information is that they were rather according her courtesies. Do you know what it means, Annie? for the Chief Justice to always walk to the Supreme Court to go and face trial, seeing bailiffs, clerks, and all other people who serve under her. I think that would be most traumatizing. And I say that we all have our traumatizing moments. Where the Supreme Court is, that is where the divorce courts and circuit courts are. And I say this also as my most traumatic moment as a lawyer. When I was pregnant, there was no washroom in those areas. You had to go and queue. It's not a scene I even want to describe on TV. And any time as a young lawyer pregnant going to court and thinking that I will not be able to wee for 6 hours, those were my traumatic moments, to the extent I didn't even want to go to those areas. And so I stopped taking certain cases that had to take me there. Are we to talk about our individual traumas when something happens?
So this decision was actually to make her feel more comfortable.
So the idea was that let's not take the head of the judiciary into a building where workers, where she supervises is. So let's find a convenient and respectable place. And the Edu Lodge was a respectable place that was recently, renovated. And has all the facilities for such sittings. And so even when she came and she realized that nobody knew the historical antecedent. So if you came and you said that, okay, this place reminds me, did she raise it with the committee?
I was going to ask you if you have information on that.
Did she raise
Since
it?
all of this is in camera
she
and all.
ought to have been telling us, since she complained, she ought to have been telling us
that she raised a concern.
I raised this 4 times or so and it was denied. Then we can all come to her aid. She cannot present a set of selected facts and then say that on the basis of that we should be empathetic. You know, to quote the Chief Justice herself, no matter what the complaints are, the law is the law. In this circumstance, has any law been breached? The answer is no. Has her right been violated? The answer is no. But even if her rights were violated, which we vehemently deny, and do you know that celebrated, if you go to law school, the first case you'll be made to brief, at least if you go to University of Ghana. That I know, the rest I can't tell. It's a case, Marbury and Martin. We say that Marbury and Martin is a celebrated case because in that case also, a right of a very big person was breached. And then she went to court. Justice Marshall, who was the Chief Justice then, asked, do you have a right? The court answered yes. Have those rights been breached? The court said yes. Are you in the right court to seek remedy? The court said no. And so however sad your situation is, you are in the wrong court. The question is, does the Chief Justice have rights? The answer certainly is yes. Have those rights been breached? I'm sure to the committee they will say no.
But to her, yes.
She will say yes. But is the Palm View Hotel the venue to seek remedy when your rights are breached? The answer is as good as what we all know.
But who called for the Palm View Hotel?
Is it Palm View or Palms? Is it now holiday in now Palm? So is the Palms Hotel the right place to go when your rights are breached, especially as a Chief Justice? That is the question we should be asking. The answer certainly is no. So why the hotel? Why the press conferences? At the end of the day, what is the role of the citizens in making sure that even if your rights are breached, rights which we contend have not been breached, what should we do? Into the crack thing. At the end of the day, so after the press conference, what's next? For us to be discussing it every time, that the Chief Justice who has, sat on cases, watched people fight their human rights, believe that when her rights are violated, she ought to call the media and tell them that, oh, you know what, my rights are being violated. I think that the Chief Justice should go to court. I will urge her to go to court. I will urge her to fight if she believes her rights are breached, because that is what we are taught to do as lawyers. And I wish her all the best.
I just want to take this opportunity to wish Kojo Eduasari, today is his birthday.
Oh,
former
happy birthday.
Adensan MP, a member of the NDC. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you, Kojo Eduasari. But let me also not hasten to, wish this man, Lieutenant Commander Azu of 37 Military Hospital. Also, today is your birthday, Lieutenant Commander Azu. It's coming from my colleague Boma to you. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. We're wrapping up, but Beatrice, are you guys having a problem with Galamsey fight?
We don't have any problem with Galamsey fight. We are still on the fight. At the last check, about 8 out of
so this
9
this headline, was captured on almost all the papers. Illegal task force clashes with government's national anti-Galamsey task force. Why?
First of all, let me say that in this fight against Galamsey, no government official has been implicated in having Galamsey sites. Nobody who works at the Flagstaff House has concessions which are illegally acquired. No NDC national or regional party chairman has been found to have any concession whatsoever. It is the government against those who are engaged in illegal mining. So that distinction has to be made. Again, 8 out of 9 forests, which under NPP they claim were no-go areas, have been reclaimed. Yes, have been reclaimed from illegal miners.
From illegal mining, yes, but the lands have not been reclaimed yet.
No, the lands have not been reclaimed because land reclamation will take a very long time. The difference between the NDC and the NPP is that the NPP was fighting its own internal people doing Galamsey. Here, it is government against people who are engaged in illegal mining. And the NDC is a group of almost 6 million members. If even some of its members are found doing Galamsey, it is the reaction of government that shows whether you are committed to fighting Galamsey or not.
Oh, no. Okay.
And so even if you are a member of the party and you are doing Galamsey, when you are found out, the law will deal with you. The good news is that we have a president that is committed to making sure that this Galamsey menace ends. But you know the irony? Somehow the NPP watched on for 8 years. And they told us that, oh, the fight is not easy and we couldn't do anything about it. But it is their unreasonable expectation that the fight against illegal mining will end in 6 months under the NDC.
So this is what the custodian says. Miners call on government to stop illegal tax force. I'm sure they're being frustrated in the forest. Government publisher, government Galamsey fight hit by rogue tax force. This is how the Ghanaian publisher captures it. Statesman says that Galamsey fight in chaos, and the inquisitor sabotage, frustrate Kofi Boa, illegal tax force derail gains. The headlines are quite interesting. The Herald says rogue tax force undermines Mahama's anti-Galamsey efforts as parallel squad. Where from that squad? Disrupt official operations, small-scale miners alarmed. The Daily Post says legal tax force clashes with government national anti-Galamsey tax force.
Yeah.
Like, it's so wild
but,
headlines.
Annie,
yes.
So, reading the headlines.
Daily Guide says small-scale miners cry to Mahama over illegal tax force.
Reading the headlines and listening to what Beatrice is saying, it's, I don't know the urgency with which they are dealing with Galamsey. It was a topical issue. The calmness with which Beatrice is talking about Galamsey today and trying to draw comparisons, unnecessary, inconsequential comparisons.
Topical issue. Did I draw comparisons?
Is that how
I was not drawing
Galamsey?
No, I'm not drawing comparisons.
Galamsey was getting the women's organizer to go and lead a few Chinese, I'm sure we would have fought Galamsey by now. No, they are women's organizer. She's now administrator of what?
Hannah Bisu. Dr. Hannah Bisu.
You saw the video?
Yes, I've seen the videos.
I mean,
what's she doing?
How did we get there?
What's she doing?
That she's the one arresting Galamsey. Yes?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Yes.
That is how they want to fight Galamsey.
But you want her to sit in the office. Do you want her to sit in the office?
Is that her role?
What's her role?
What is she supposed to do?
You see, I think we're just... Oh, okay, that's one of the videos. That's one of the videos. You hate, hold on, you hate to see her like this?
It's not a matter of hating to see her like
this. She's being dramatic.
Is this how they want to...
You think she's being dramatic?
Is this the populist way they want to fight Galamsey?
This is populist.
I think it's populist and unnecessary.
Why?
Anything could have happened to her. Why
she has decided to risk her life.
Why would you risk your life?
She's risking her life for Ghana. You don't want her to risk her life.
What risk? Why do we have people to do?
Why do you have a problem with somebody risking her life?
We sat here, had extensive conversations on Galamsey. We all know the havoc Galamsey is wreaking. We've been fighting Galamsey since 1989.
So maybe it's time to fight like this.
Listen, we sat here and said Galamsey
it's
a collective fight. What did our compatriots now in government say?
No, it's a collective
government responsibility.
No, it is a collective fight. If government is not involved, your own members were involved, and you were calling us to come and collectively fight.
You are taking holidays to Parliament under certificate of emergency. You are focusing on removing a CJ. Galamsey, that's threatening. And you means no
wait. What about Galamsey? Has government done wrong?
But you know Hannah Bisu very well.
Threatening the future.
You know the woman very, very well.
I don't need to know her.
Oh, okay.
I don't need to know her.
You probably you're surprised to
come again. The difference is that because you guys were pretending to fight Galamsey.
Isn't there a task force countering government tax?
She's part of the task force.
No, but isn't there a counter one now?
Yes, there is a counter.
But she has an office
How
too.
did we get there?
Okay.
How did they get
there? All right. This is what time
we're
back tomorrow with Good Morning Ghana. I thank you for watching. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
I hereby declare 1st of July of every year as Ghana's official National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving.
Where are you going with all this?
The president just made 1st July a National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving, and I'm preparing in advance.
I mean, we're all going as a family, but you